Hello and welcome to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS. Welcome to another session of Indian Economy Essentials. And in today's video, let's have a discussion regarding the recent announcement of the rise or the hike in the LPG prices by oil marketing companies. Now, before I start the discussion, here's a very important announcement. As promised, we already have launched the Target Prelims initiative for 2023. And under this, today, please attend the strategy session as to how to prepare for the current affairs in under 90 days, which will be handled by Chetan sir. If you are yet to subscribe to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS, please do subscribe and turn on the notifications so that when the session will go live, you will get the notification, you will be able to join the session and get the benefit of the session. Now with this caveat, let me start the discussion now. Very recently or yesterday, the oil marketing companies have announced a hike in the LPG prices, Liquefied Petroleum Gas. Now, what is the importance of this announcement? Why this has been done? Let's understand the basics first here. I'm pretty sure all of you know that the very important raw material for LPG is basically crude oil. Now, many of you will start scratching your head and wondering, sir, why crude oil is connected to LPG? Very simple. Please go back to your high school. And in the high school, again, not literally, just imagine. Now, in the high school, your faculty or your teacher would have taught you the concept of fractional distillation. And in the fractional distillation, they have told you the input will be the crude oil, and once you distill, right, basically you bring out the components of the crude oil, you will have multiple components. You will basically distill and you will have multiple components. And at the top, the first component that you will basically get is propane and butane. Propane and butane. And by the way, LPG is basically nothing but a mixture of propane and butane. In fact, in addition to this, you will also get butylene, propylene, etc. Now focus on this very carefully. All of you will agree with me when I say India is a major importer of crude oil. How much? Generally around 80 to 85% of the crude oil we import. And if I say that crude oil is a very important raw material to get LPG, now look at the point. Is it okay if I say if the crude oil prices will change, LPG prices automatically will change? It's a basic outcome. Because the raw material is this, if the cost of raw material changes, the prices of the output automatically should change. Point number one. Point number two. India follows a policy called as import pricing parity. Import parity pricing. Now what is the basic idea here? We import a lot of it and we connect our prices to one of the LPG prices in the international market, that is Aramco's LPG. Aramco's LPG. And whenever the Aramco's LPG prices will change, generally you will see that the price of the LPG cylinders sold in the domestic market automatically will change. But the government, now although I am using the term government here, specifically these are oil marketing companies such as IOCL, HPCL and BPCL. These three OMCs in the beginning of the month itself will adjust the prices of these commodities based on what is the price in the international market. That is commodities such as ATF. The price of ATF was also reduced very recently. But on the other hand, LPG prices have been increased. Now what is the importance of this? Let's try and understand. In the last year, because of the war between Russia and Ukraine, the prices of crude oil in the international market went up. And as a result of a rise in the international price of crude oil, now the OMCs were also supposed to revise the prices of the LPG. And the last such revision that was done by the OMCs was done in the last year, month of July. After that, despite the prices of crude oil being elevated, being on a higher level, OMCs did not increase the price of the LPG. Why? government basically stated that we do not want to burden the consumers or the households in the market. Citing this, the OMCs did not increase the price, but as a result of this withholding of the hike, the under recoveries or the money that was collected by the OMCs was much lower. In fact, Government of India in the later months announced a package of more than 22,000 crore rupees to provide support for these OMCs. Now with the prices cooling down, OMCs have stated that this is the right opportunity for me to revise the prices of the LPG upwards and make certain extra earnings so that I can recover. I can basically collect more amount of money and recover the losses that I've incurred last year. This is the reason why LPG prices have been increased. Now I said that since the last year July, the prices have not been revised. That is slightly technical. Understand the next point carefully. Whenever you talk about LPG or the cylinders for that matter, there are two types of cylinders. One is a domestic cylinder of weight 14.2 kgs and the second one is a commercial cylinder of 19 kgs. Commercial cylinders, of course, go by the name itself, are used for commercial purposes, restaurants, hotels, etc. Whereas the domestic cylinders are used in the houses such as your household and my household. And government, that is OMCs, will always keep the prices of commercial cylinders much higher compared to the prices of domestic cylinders. And even the prices of these cylinders will not be uniform in India. Remember this point as well. The price of the cylinder will not be uniform in India. Why? The cylinders, whenever these are sold to the consumers, the state government will impose a lot of taxes on it. And the tax on these will vary from one state to another state. And that is the precise reason why the prices of the cylinder is not the same across India, will vary from one state to another state. Now, this commercial cylinder, have a look at this. The OMCs increased the prices of the commercial cylinder already in the month of January. And that hike was 25 rupees. The hike that was done by the OMCs on the commercial cylinders was 25. And now, for both the domestic cylinders as well as commercial cylinders, the prices have been increased. For the domestic cylinders, the prices have been increased by 50 rupees per cylinder. Whereas for commercial cylinders, the prices have been increased by more than 350 rupees per cylinder. And that's a precise reason. The prices of the cylinders, again, should you remember these numbers for the examination purposes? Absolutely no. Please do not by heart these numbers. UPSC or for that matter any exam will not ask you for these numbers. Now what is the impact of this? Right? What is the impact of this? Understand the common man. The common man is expected to have a huge is expected to be affected by this rise in the prices. As we have already seen, the retail inflation, right, for the month of January, it's already more than 6%. That means the common man is already burdened with lot of these prices. And within the retail inflation, if you look at the cereal prices have been much higher in double digits. Which means the common household, it is affected already by a huge rise in the prices of the day-to-day consumption commodities. In addition to these rise in the commodity prices now, the households will also have to bear an additional price or will have to pay additional price whenever they consume the LPG cylinders. Right now, these are the very important points associated with the concept of LPG pricing. Now, whenever you talk about LPG cylinders, I said domestic and commercial, and within the domestic, there are two systems or let's say two schemes under which government will basically provide subsidy on the LPG cylinders. One is called as a PAHAL, that is a direct benefit transfer in LPG, and the second one is a Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, wherein for 12 cylinders the government provides 200 rupees worth of subsidy. And after you start consuming more than 12 cylinders, the subsidy will not be provided. The customers will have to pay a higher price, non-subsidized prices to consume these cylinders. Apart from this, in the context of LPG subsidy, please make a note of this. under PMUI, Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, for the upcoming financial year, government has not allocated any amount of subsidy. Although I'm using the term any amount of subsidy, a token amount has been allocated. And very recently, while holding the budgetary consultations or budgetary discussions with various states, the finance minister has categorically stated, whatever targets we have set up under the Pradhan Mantri Ujjwala Yojana, we have already achieved that. Now, if the government wants to cover more and more beneficiaries apart from whatever was the target earlier, if we want to cover more beneficiaries, if we want to bring in anybody else under the initiative, in that case, the budget allocation has already been made. So these are certain very, very important concepts related to the LPG prices as well as the schemes which have been implemented by the government in regards to the concept of LPG. Now, if you like the initiative that we have launched for you, please hit the like button. Provide your valuable comments in the section below. And if you yet to subscribe to BYJU'S Exam Prep IAS, kindly subscribe now. Thank you. Have a great day.